Welcome to another chat with Riaan Jordan Digital Marketing, or RJDM, and this week we're still talking about websites, but more specifically the speed of your website. So what aspects are important to optimize website speed? And we've got the expert on the line, Max from RJDM. How's it going, Max?
Fine, thanks, and you, Ian?
Good, thanks. Welcome back to our chat here on eRadio. Now, Max, we all want to visit websites that load quickly. Sometimes they don't load quickly, and then we sort of discouraged to just go ahead. Actually, sometimes if a website takes too long to open, I actually close the browser, and it's just a bit annoying. I think in this time in 2024, we want stuff and we want it now. So if you go to a website and it takes too long to load, or there's problems, I mean, it's not encouraging. So how would you make your website fast enough, or make sure it is fast enough to load?
Yeah, there's quite a bit that one can do, and that is worth considering. The first thing, of course, is also the quality of your hosting. You know that sometimes we have hosting and we do not always realize what kind of service we're getting, what kind of servers the sites are hosted on, and we don't have the knowledge to ask the pertinent questions. So if you have a small business and you just hosting somewhere at a host where they have 2,000 websites running on one server, that is definitely going to influence the speed of your website. So that is always important to ask, well, how is the load managed on that server? Know that if you just take out a general package at a general host, they're going to put as many as possible websites on that server in order for it to be profitable. A good test would be when you access your website at a certain host, is not to only do it either during business hours or only after hours, but do it over several times a day. If your website is on a server with many other websites that's being used during business hours, then you will note that it may be not as responsive during peak business hours as it would be after hours. So that is one thing to consider. But if you move back to what is possible in terms of when you actually, what you can do or what your web developer can do for you, is to make sure, for instance, that your server is running at the latest PHP version. You know, we've moved from PHP 5.4 to 7.2 to 7.3 and 8.1 relatively quickly. It was a very quick curve, and each version of PHP not only enhanced the security that you have on your server, but also the responsiveness in order to cope with the latest CMSs or content management systems that may be running. So that is something to consider. Also, if you are running a theme on your website that was purchased 5 years ago and it was never updated, and it was built on technology that's 5 years old, then it will be slower, because the latest technology and the latest trends optimize for speed because it has to compete. So having updated themes, updated plugins, and make sure that you run on the latest version of PHP is the first very important aspect.
Yeah, I mean, because we update everything else, you know. We update our phones, we update our computers, bloody Windows. Oh, there's an update I can hear. Yours is updating there in the background now. What was that? Or do you have? Is that a what do you call it? A Mac?
No. I'm using. I usually say the best thing to do with a Mac is to throw it through Windows. But my colleagues won't agree.
Yeah. No, I love it. Oh, that's a good one. I get it. That was quite funny. But yes, so Windows, freaking every week there's a new update, and it's so annoying and so on. But there's a reason for it. A lot of it is to do with security, and also what you just said. Having your website hosted on the same server rack, so to speak, as other websites, it's quite risky because if that server goes down, you all go down. If that server catches fire somewhere in the middle of Iraq, you've got a problem.
Yes, you absolutely have to make sure that the hosting company that you use have backups, good service, and they've got adequate bandwidth for the service that they use. And that's obviously why we pay a little bit more for the service that we use, because we want to make sure that we can handle the traffic that gets generated or put through those servers.
What is your location, your favorite location of choice for servers when it comes to websites? Do you believe in hosting locally, if that's possible, or
absolutely?
Can you still get a website that performs well when it's hosted, let's say, somewhere in Europe?
The problem with that is that because we're situated in Africa, a lot of the time we're having issues, especially if in the Suez Canal a boat scrapes the connection cable.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That happens quite often, actually.
Yep, it does.
And then you'll find that trying to access international sites is either greatly impacted or not possible at all. And if your main focus, if your main business is in South Africa or in Africa, it makes absolute sense to have your website hosted and your email and your servers in South Africa, because obviously every time that there is a connection problem, and this happens, whether it's via satellite or Starlink that falls out of the sky or a boat that scrapes the cable, that communication to Europe is interrupted. And even if it isn't interrupted, there is definitely a speed impact depending on where you are and where your target market is located.
Yeah, because I also remember somebody said to me once, I don't want to host my website in South Africa because of load shedding. I mean, obviously that problem is something of the past now. Well, it's been for almost 200 days, but but obviously those servers have backup as well, to stay connected when the power goes out.
Absolutely. If you've got a proper host, then that should never be an issue. But we've been talking a lot about the connectivity and the servers, but some other aspects of optimizing a website is obviously also the content that you have on there. You don't want to, we all have new phones and we take a photo and even if we get professional photos taken, those photos are a minimum of 3 megabytes. And I always say, just consider, if you've got 10 photos on your website and none of those photos are optimized and we all upload them at 3 or 30 megabyte, times 10 or times 100, then you get to a huge amount of data. And obviously, having your server have to process that data for every visitor on your site obviously is going to have an impact. I don't know, Ian, you've probably been on some sites where you just, that image, that big image that loads, or that video just goes, line for line for line.
Oh no, I can't take it. The videos are the worst. I just can't wait for it. Sorry.
So that's the kind of thing that you want to prevent. Talking about videos, that's also why it's important to have, if you do have video content on your website, to have it hosted on YouTube, that your web server doesn't have to render that traffic. Your web server doesn't have to host those files. Movie files are quite large. Have it done on YouTube or Bunnynet or one of the other service providers that caters for multimedia, and you just embed it into your site. That's one very important aspect on how to get your site speed at its best as well. Something else to consider, a lot of people also ask me, why don't you just, instead of developing a site or building a page, just put the PDF on. Now, the problem with the PDF is it's usually a bigger file size. It's not mobile friendly, and it's handled like a piece of media that needs to be downloaded to your device, where text renders almost immediately.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's obviously also a SEO impact. Search engines don't read PDF attachments.
No, that's terrible. Yeah. You get that quite often on the government websites, a lot of uploaded PDFs. Yeah.
Yes, and even restaurants with menus, they just upload their PDF. Now, have you tried to see what the cost of a roti is if you have to, pinch and scroll and magnify?
Yeah. Pinch all the way.
Yeah.
But Max, I have a bonus question for you just lastly. When uploading images on a website, JPEG or PNG?
Absolutely JPEG. JPEG is the smaller file format. And the only time that I really use PNGs is if you've got a transparent background. With other words, you've got a photo of a product that you want to superimpose over a background of something else, then PNG is your only option. But the best optimization for size and speed is still JPEG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I've
PNG
noticed
is lovely. It's scalable, and you can actually blow it up over huge screens without getting any loss of data. But it is a larger file.
Yeah.
To render.
Somebody once said to me, if you upload your images on social media, for business purposes on say Facebook in PNG format, it looks better, especially when it comes to the color red. But I haven't really been able to notice any differences between PNG or JPEG on socials.
So on social media, I would actually use PNG because it's the social media platform's problem. It's not your website's problem to render those images. But also something very important to consider is the compression of those images used. So if you compress a JPEG at 72 dpi, then obviously it's going to look horrible if you make it just a little bit bigger than a screen. But obviously, the higher your dots per inch compression on that image is, the larger the file would be. So ideally, 300 dpi is great, but then also the display size, which is in pixels, is quite important. So if you've got a banner running across your whole page, then the minimum size should always be 1920 pixels in width, at a DPI of maybe 72 if it's only used as a background, or preferably 120. But if you only going to have a image that uses 1/4 or 1/2 of the size of a website, then a 1,000 pixel width is acceptable at a decent DPI. It gets technical. I hope I didn't throw you, confuse you with all jargon.
No.
But this is the kind of aspects that's very important to consider when you work with graphics and just normal photos. At the end of the day, it's about quality versus file size.
Yeah, and also, Max, would you compress it beforehand in a photo program, or will the website do it for you with some kind of setting?
No, it's better to always compress your images before you upload it, because not only will that impact the time that it takes to upload your image, but you've got more control, and you can see what the end result would be. There are some plugins that you can use a website that actually does compress the image, but then it replicates say if you've got an image of a rabbit, now there's 5 images of a rabbit, all at different sizes and compressions, which just then takes up a lot of server space, and you've wasted all the time of actually uploading something that you're not going to use at the end of the day. There's some beautiful free online bulk image compression sites that can be used. So I always recommend just throw it through one of those at the size and the DPI that you want, and then once you've decided on what you want to use, then you upload it onto your website, onto your CMS.
Great stuff. This has been very interesting. Max, thank you so much once again, and we really appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure. Keep on clicking.
Thanks, Max.
Bye.
Attention business owners and entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your online presence to new heights? Look no further than Rian Jordan Marketing, your one-stop solution for all your digital needs. Whether it's a stunning website, top-notch hosting services, eye-catching graphic designs, or social media marketing to boost your online presence, we can help. Our dedication to excellence and a track record of success is what sets us apart. Rian Jordan Marketing is trusted by both South African and international clients, delivering results that speak for themselves. Don't miss out on the opportunity to transform your online presence. Contact Rian Jordan Marketing today and let us turn your digital dreams into reality. Visit our website at rjdm.co.za or give us a call at 087 1488 408. Rian Jordan Marketing. Your success is our priority.